Warning! This video contains spoilers for LEGO Masters Season 3. Hello, Andy. Did you enjoy the first episode of Season 3 of LEGO Masters?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome. Great. What was your favorite team so far?
I like the one, the firefighter team.
You like the firefighter, Steven? Yeah, they're pretty good. All right. Did you agree with the decision of the judges to send the team home?
Not really.
Yeah.
I think the doctors.
You think the doctors, you would have sent the doctors too?
Yeah.
Okay. And those two builds. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it. Hello, Maddie. How you doing?
Good.
All right.
Yeah.
So did you enjoy the first episode of Season 3 of LEGO Masters?
Yes, I did. It was actually really interesting. I love the ukulele.
You like the ukulele build the best?
Build,
That's awesome.
yes.
Now, is that's your favorite team so far, the Boston Moms?
Oh yes, they're so fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Did you agree with the judges' decision to send Drew and Miranda home?
No, I wish they would have sent the other one home. I
Yeah.
feel like
You would have picked the doctors in this round.
Yes, I
Yeah.
feel like the other team had so much potential, you know, and they could have stayed for a lot longer. But,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it is. All right. Thanks,
Yeah.
Maddie. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
How's it going, Grant?
Pretty good.
Did you enjoy the first episode of Season 3 of LEGO Masters?
I thought it was great.
You enjoyed it?
really
Awesome.
good, yeah.
Very cool. Do you have a favorite team so far?
I like the firefighters a lot. I think the mother and son are probably doing pretty good. I think they're going to be
Okay.
pretty good eventually.
And they're one of your other favorite teams?
Yes,
Nice,
exactly,
nice.
yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Did you agree with the judges' decision to send Drew and Miranda home?
No, I feel like the doctors could have done better. I feel like the brother and sister could have done better. I think they should have stayed. Both of them are pretty good builders.
So
I
you
feel
probably would have picked the doctors to go home
like.
instead of the brother and sister.
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, both
Tough
of them can do
calls.
better. I know they can do better.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Thanks, Grant. Appreciate
Of
it.
course.
Hey, Emily, did you enjoy the first episode of Season 3 of LEGO Masters?
Yes, I really did enjoy it. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Did you have a favorite team from the season so far?
It was weird, but I liked the smiley ship. I
like
think.
Eddie and Aziza the best?
Yes.
They're nice. Awesome.
I
Okay.
think.
Okay, so did you agree with the judge's decision to send Drew and Miranda home?
No, but I think both teams had their builds had their flaws, so I think the judges know better than we do what constitutes a good build. So I'm sure they had their reasons for sending home
Gotcha.
a couple that they did.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks, Emily. Appreciate it. Hey, Randy, did you enjoy the first episode of Season 3 of LEGO Masters?
I did really enjoy it.
You did enjoy it. That's good. All right.
I love the suspense.
What was your favorite team so far?
I like the two ladies that did the boombox.
Oh, yes.
I agreed with the curvature and the colors of it. I think it
The
looked
Hot
really
Mess
good.
Mama.
The Hot Mess Moms.
That's
and
awesome.
yeah.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, do you agree with the judge's decision to send Drew and Miranda home?
I do, because I feel like when the judges give you a critique,
Yeah.
I don't want to say they ignored it, but I think they were so focused already on what they were going to build, they
Yeah.
didn't take it into account that
Yeah.
they were trying to help you.
They didn't pivot, maybe.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, they had problems, and yeah, they went home. That's
yeah,
really sad.
so
Yeah.
I think when they showcase that, there's probably a reason why they're telling you that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it. Hey, Ed, how'd you enjoy the first episode of Season 3 of LEGO Masters?
I thought it was great.
That was great?
Yeah,
That's good.
enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Very entertaining.
What was your favorite team?
I like the one with the ukulele. They built that instrument.
Oh, the Boston
And it was lit
Moms.
up, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Okay. Which team do you think was struggling? Do you think that was a correct team to send home? Or
Yeah, I think both of those teams were struggling.
Yeah.
I would have kept the other people that were sent home. I would have sent the doctors.
You would have picked the doctors?
Healthcare's
Okay.
people home, yeah.
Thanks for your thoughts, Ed. Appreciate
All
it. Yeah. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to another episode of Between the Studs here at Atlanta Brick Go TV, the best LEGO podcast around the interwebs. Today we have Mark, Angie, Daniel, and Steven, 4 experts of the LEGO brick, and 4 people who saw the episode of LEGO Masters very recently, the latest Season 3, Episode 1. Really excited to break it down and talk about all the little ins and outs.
And this is spoiler, right? This is all spoiler.
Yes.
It is
Yeah.
totally
watch
a
it if you
spoiler.
haven't.
Don't watch
There's a
it.
spoiler warning
Spoiler
before we
warning.
begin talking, so we're all good. We're covered. If you're watching this, you want to know more about LEGO Masters Episode 1 from Season 3, and you want to be spoiled.
Yes.
You want to hear what we think about it, that's the point of this video.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, so what were you guys' general impression of the episode? How did it feel? Let's start with Daniel. What'd you think?
Oh man, right on the spot. Okay, I thought I was safe in the middle. I
No,
figured-
I'm gonna.
No, you're not safe at all.
I
do
saw
together.
that little nervous look in your eye. I'm like, I need to call Daniel out this morning.
Why
No,
are you
it's exciting to see. I mean, we know very little about these people other than maybe some of their involvement in the LEGO community from the past. So it's interesting to actually see which teams do as well or maybe better than expected based on what little information we had, especially from Like the preview that they released, that was, a couple months ago now?
It's been a while.
This
Brief
like
preview.
spring.
Confusing preview.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Which was not for this episode. I think that was for next week's episode because that was the Jurassic World one. That was really all we got for a teaser. But as far as how the teams did, I think a lot of teams did really well. There were always, as usual, some who got a little overambitious, some who maybe didn't listen to Amy and Jamie as much as they should have, and maybe paid the consequences a little bit for that. Pretty much what you would expect from a first episode. Kind of get a feel for the field, see how people do.
Yeah.
All right, and Angie, what did you think?
I was excited that they didn't really change anything about the set because the set's pretty cool in general.
Yeah, it was the same, wasn't it?
It is exactly the same, and so that was exciting to see. And then having worked on the show last year, it was neat to kind of know, okay, I remember this part when they walk through the wall and everybody's like freaking out. Those are real reactions. Those aren't
for
put
sure.
on.
Yeah, no,
We weren't
no
faking
acting.
them, that's for sure.
Hopping up and
To
down.
walk on that set would be so scary to me. So the fact that they're all there, it was exciting, that part of it, and have it back in our lives again for another whole season is exciting. I liked at the beginning with the animation with Brad Pitt, Will Ferrell,
Will Arnett.
Will Arnett, sorry.
Well, so.
Just all of that's a bigger budget for that,
Yeah.
so that's exciting.
That was
so
nice.
It gives us hope that there's a bigger budget with more to be able to do with it this year, so that's exciting. So overall, I was very pleased with the show. I thought it was well done. I thought it was great. I'm very excited for the future episodes and to see what's coming.
Exactly. What about you, Steve? What's your general impressions of the first episode?
I had mixed emotions at first, but sitting on it it was last night, so sitting on it for some time has cleared my head. I'm really happy to see it back. I love the animations that they did. Like, those were really crisp stop and go. Like, they're really nice. I saw castle characters in the background. That was super fun. The set's the same. That's really fun. Will Arnett's jokes were, I think, even a little bit better this time around. Like, this
Still
is
just as cheesy. But
Some of them landed, some of them didn't.
Some of them landed, some of them didn't. I heard some good ones, like the Emmys. That was a funny joke. And the teams are really cool. I love the Canadian teams. I'm like, this is cool.
So there's how many? 3?
I believe there's 3. Yeah.
There's David and Emily.
Nick and
There's
Stacy.
Nick and Stacy, and then you got Steven and Steven. I think that's all the Canadian teams.
Wait,
Yeah.
Did you say the Canadian one that they wore the Canadian shirts?
Yeah, that's,
Was that them?
that gotta be Canadian.
I'm still
David
learning
and Emily,
names.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm still learning.
Yes,
so,
Steven.
there's at least 3, and they were all really cool. It's nice, it's neat to see the North America thing. I wasn't 100% sure how I felt about it. Like the USA on the trophy, like, it's dated now. Okay, but you know what? No, it's fine. Let's have them in. They're great. They're great teams. All the teams look really fun. Like I've only met a few of them in person, so I can't wait to meet them some more in the future. The challenge was interesting because our episode, like objectively, our episode 1 was kind of easy. Like it was just 2 base plates and get the movement down and stuff like that, and it left a lot of room for some really nice builds. This one was a lot harder, I could tell. Like
you're
the
hanging off of a block.
Really talented builders were being thrown in a loop for that weight, especially that sacking build.
Yeah.
So that was definitely interesting to make episode 1 a little harder. But I love the prompt, like the space theme. I'm like, okay, we had a cool castle episode last time. Let's get a cool space episode, and this was the space episode. So I'm sure Chris Gins and Dana are freaking out back there. They're probably
It's
super
definitely a fun
excited,
theme for sure.
So all around, good vibes, good feelings. I had a couple more things I want to highlight later, but it's like
we'll get into all the details now. In fact, now that we've started talking about the challenge, let's talk about that. What were some of the highlight builds from the challenge? How did you feel about the challenge? What would you have done in that situation? Let's hear it from. Let's start with this time. Angie gets to start us off. So.
Well, I definitely believe the winner that won was correct. I thought the fire guys were just Steven and Steven. That was pretty amazing, and I really was shocked that they came out of the stall, whatever you want to call it, however you call that.
Out of the gate.
Out of the gate. That's it. Out of the gate. With that's hard. You're thinking you're going to come in and do some little pansy whatever to show who you are. I'm sure they all expected that.
Yeah, easy, but nope.
Yeah, no. When you have to hang it off of the thing, I mean, that's pretty tough. So that was exciting to see. You really kind of get to know everyone immediately, and it looks like there's what level or skill they are right away. Because last season you really wouldn't necessarily have known everyone's skill level because you're just building on a float, and a lot of people can do that. So this was really, I really liked it, and I think for myself, if I had done that, I don't even know what I would have done. It's just, gosh, we were talking about it last night. What you guys would have done?
Something castle adventure. Yeah.
Something. I don't know if I would have done castle, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was. I really thought the winners were great. I loved the other. The guys that did the orange ship.
Yep. The orange spaceship.
Yes, because I liked the way that was spread out. And then the other one I liked was the couple, the siblings that were like the happy. You know, the happy
Eddie and Aziza.
Yeah.
Oh, the smiling ship. Yeah, I like the barrel of heads. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was grotesque.
It was so scary and awesome.
Yes. No, I thought I'm very pleased with
that one. Stood out to me too.
I really liked that one.
One thing, not to cut.
Go ahead.
Not to cut it line, but one thing so there were a couple standouts, right? I really liked I did like Greg and Brennan's ship. Although I felt like it didn't, they sort of suffered from we did. Like, it didn't quite represent them as much. It's not as easy as a prompt as it sounds. Build something that represents you. It's like, that's a little tricky. You have to put that into space. The interests you like, now you have to put them into space. That's hard to interpret.
It's also not a satellite. It's a spaceship.
Exactly.
So I think that maybe they were missing the prompt a little bit. I think you're making part of the satellite, making a spaceship that lands on the satellite. I don't know.
It was a little bit interesting. Yeah, that was kind of funny. I think they were going for a space station. That's what the prompt was, but it was a little ambiguous.
Is it a spaceship or a space station that they're building?
What are they doing? Yeah, so there was a little bit of... so I liked it, but it was missing the bullseye just a little bit. I also really liked that yellow one with the rings, but those axles bend so easily. There's no... I'm like...
That was unfortunate.
There's a couple ways you could have done that, but you wouldn't have had the right effect. I never promise anything to the judges!
That's what I said.
Don't promise anything. Just say, it's a surprise. So they can use that for their film.
And then if you can make it move... Fantastic bonus.
You exceeded expectations.
Yeah. But the second they stepped up there at the end, Will went, so I heard it's supposed to have a power function or whatever. And then they were all like,
Well, and that made me wonder because I saw some people lit it up and some people did some things. And I looked at Mark and I'm like, was that part of the challenge that they had to do that? And he's like,
not every build had lights.
Not all of them did, but when I saw the first few did, and I'm like, oh wait, maybe they were supposed to. And then it's
maybe they encouraged more.
I'm almost positive they had size restrictions of some kind because I saw a lot of shoebox-esque buildings.
Yeah,
and here's the thing: they're trying to match a volume.
Yeah,
they're because like the moms carrying Patrick, the doctors, even Nick and Stacy a little bit. They're all trying to make a certain dimension.
That's true. I bet
I think they had to make at least like a foot by 2 feet or something.
I think they had a size, not a size requirement, but a size limit. Like you can't go further.
No. There was no size limit. The firefighters went huge.
Yeah, that's true.
They had to build a certain size, otherwise it'd be too small. And it wouldn't
look
they
right
wouldn't
it could have been volumetric though.
Yeah.
Because Steven and Steven, they
their core was about
played
the same
it quite
size.
literally quite to the chest. They kept the center of gravity very close to the side of the ship. They made a very thin build,
symmetrical,
very broad,
symmetrical.
Yeah. I think everybody had a rectangle that they had to fill.
I think you're right.
I don't know. I could be wrong. So.
Maybe
it looked like it.
But yeah, the what I would have built was I would have probably made a retro diner, like a space diner. Remember Spaceballs, where they at near the end of the movie they go in and then they're like, they're bummed out because they failed the mission, sort of, and then they there's the sequence with the alien spoof. So I would have made a retro diner and it had these big thrusters with all these fun colors and big windows and like checkered floors. That I think would have been super fun.
That'd be cool.
But a little bit into
they kind of did a checkered floor. The
older
grandpa.
That was a dance. That was a rave. That was a dance party. That's very different from a place you actually sit.
Lots of them were like space dance party or like music.
A lot of music going around.
I don't know where that's who they are.
Yeah. But so many of them.
But that doesn't stand out from the crowd.
The ukulele was cool.
That
was cool.
That design.
A lot of brick bending.
There was a lot of brick bending.
I thought maybe that was part of something they had to do was the brick bending.
No.
Not everybody. The whole edge
they
of
all
that was
decided
brick
to do
bend.
it at the same time. It was weird.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I've heard it reported from the people that I know on season 3 that once some people started executing a more advanced technique, other people saw it and then decided to implement it in their build too to try and keep
Christina
up.
Michelle, there's just
I think that the mom and the son, Emily and Liam, both made that big big rings of brick bending
And
there,
people
and then
saw
other
that,
people are
like,
like, wait a minute, I should
whoa.
probably have some bending of brick in there too. And so you see the doctors, you see the ukulele, you see the roof on
I'm
Messy
yeah,
Mom.
yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
that's
Hot
my
mess.
theory.
That makes
Weird, but
perfect
yeah.
sense.
That's my
It could
theory,
be.
but it could be there was actually a twist. I don't know. So.
Yeah.
I think if that was the case, the rest of them used it probably to greater effect just because of the structural integrity that was required for this.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Emily and Liam could have succeeded a lot more if the base was either able to hang from the bottom or stand up on the top, because then you have an even distribution of that weight. But when it's on its side, you get all this
It's never
stress
gonna be
pulling
right,
on it
yeah.
sideways. It's always going to
agree.
That
distort.
must have been a requirement that they
droop.
couldn't put it on top or
Yeah, I
below,
think the only
that it had to
attachment points were on the
sit-
It's a
side,
very-
so it was fair for everybody.
Very ambitious
Yeah.
design, and
Yeah.
it's
It
too
was.
bad I didn't quite pull off too, because
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to that one. I'm like, I'm almost putting myself in the judge's spot now. I'm like, ooh, I wanted to see that one really do well, and now it's
Yeah.
not. I feel a little disappointed. But,
Yeah, the other one that I didn't really feel was as much up to par as I would have liked were the doctors. I thought that the idea
Colors
of
were
it
not very
was
good.
the idea of it was
Colors were
good,
bad.
but yeah, that it just did not do well on television. I don't know if it
Yes.
was if maybe it was better in real life because that's why they got to
And it is a
stay.
that
real
happens.
thing.
That happens.
They did
But-
have
and
some
it
cool
didn't
syringes
translate.
and stuff, but
The syringes
Yeah.
were very nice, but that
Yeah.
was one of the
But they
only
never
things.
really talked because I know that the judges had said to them, "We need if you're going to put things in the bag, we need to be able to see those things." And I know they put the syringes on the side, which were cool.
That's thrusters.
Yeah, but I did
Or
not.
lasers or something,
I know
yeah.
that the team that went home was basically, I believe it was because they couldn't see the stuff inside of it.
And the entryway was pretty poor as well.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because they clearly knew how to
They
build.
did.
and
You could
it's
tell they
like-
did. I felt like theirs was a little bit more.
I have to think about that one.
Yeah.
Technique-wise, I
Technique,
would
it
say
felt like
they
it was
were.
better.
Yeah,
I like
They
we
had
did
more
colors.
potential.
Colors are a lot
Yeah.
nicer too, and that's something that I'm surprised Amy didn't call him out on more of. The doctors more of.
Yeah.
Well, also though, now
Austin and Justin, the doctors.
tell me if
Austin
I
and Justin,
did
yeah.
this wrong, but the ones that did go home, remind me their name. I'm sorry.
It's Drew and Miranda.
Miranda.
Yep.
Thank you.
Drew and Miranda.
I think.
The other
Melissa?
thing is,
Drew and Melissa?
No, it's Miranda.
Okay.
Drew and Miranda, I thought they were precious. I wish they had not gone home, that on a personal level. But I did wonder if their design was not really what they originally had drawn out, because it was supposed to be a 2-liter bottle, you know, with something coming out of it, and you never saw that. So that
Yeah.
made me also wonder if that's
They
why they
pivoted.
went
It was
home, because
there-
they didn't
They pivoted,
do,
I think.
Yeah.
It was there. It just didn't read well
It didn't look like
because
what
the
they
bottom
said.
of it was
Right, you couldn't
square.
see
And it was facing
It
towards
said
you,
like
you know.
fizz on the side of it, so it was supposed to be conveying that it was a soda bottle, but it didn't
you couldn't
read
see
well.
it from the side.
And they were trying to sculpt that kind of tapered shape at the top. and
Right,
It
yeah.
It just didn't read well. But conceptually, that was a great idea. I mean,
Yeah.
a
Oh,
2-liter
yeah.
rocket
Yeah,
bottle,
that's
like
fun.
a science experiment you do when you're kids. You make bottle
Yeah.
rockets, and that was a great idea. But
Yeah.
I see how their execution wasn't quite there. But
Yeah.
I'm also disappointed that they went home.
Yeah.
I think they had a lot more potential for success in the future.
I think the only reason they didn't, the doctors didn't go home. I keep forgetting the name. I'm sorry.
Austin and Justin.
Austin and Justin. I think the only reason they didn't go home was because they had some more details that were just. It was a little bit clearer what they were doing compared to the other one, the bottle rocket. If I hadn't been told the bottle rocket thing, just watching the episode, I wouldn't have known what they were talking about.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. So you could also see more details. It wasn't just all hidden by a giant shield. So I think that's the only
probably
reason they
why.
went home. It's probably a tough call.
Yeah.
I'm kind of leaning towards what the judges said, but in the meantime, I feel pretty bad. How do I feel? I hate to jump in, but how do we feel about that whole going home first episode thing?
Yeah.
It was
I
shocking.
was surprised.
It was very shocking.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to make them feel like they were like they did last year, but then they weren't in the end. But then when Judge Amy started getting teary-eyed, I'm like, wait, they really are doing this. They literally are. She typically got teary-eyed over one. Sometimes I feel like maybe she got more teary-eyed because she may not have wanted them to go and was kind of overruled. I
Well,
don't
it's
know.
like we barely got to know them
We
at
really
all.
didn't, and they seem so sweet.
Yeah, and they were at Brick Fair, Virginia, very
Yeah.
briefly, and they were very nice people. But I would not have guessed they were getting sent home the
Yeah,
first
that was very
or
shocking.
the first week.
Yeah.
It almost hurt my heart. It was sad.
Yeah.
Well, based on who they sent home and why they sent them home, and the fact that they made a decision to send them home,
Yeah.
I wonder if it was to send a message because they're always harping on when the judges come around and give you feedback, you better listen and do something about it. And they fell for that classic blunder.
Yeah.
They gave them some feedback and they just kind of pushed on and weren't able to pivot quickly enough. And I wonder if maybe that was a contributing factor for why they decided to send someone home, was to say, like, hey, y'all better take this seriously. Listen, pivot, change your plans if that's what we're telling you, because we're trying to help you.
They are basically, if what they're saying is what determines whether you stay or not.
Yeah.
So
it is true.
It doesn't matter if you think you have a good idea. If they say it needs more color, you add more color. If they say it needs to change, you change it to the best of your ability while still having a functional creation.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, how did you feel about the episode?
Oh, so I thought it was very nicely edited.
Yes.
I thought the editing was really good.
It was.
For our first episode, it felt kind of sporadic, and you didn't really see everybody. This one, you got to see a little bit of everybody.
Yes.
And it really was very balanced. You got some nice Will Arnett shenanigans, but not too much. You got a little thing with the ISS space station and the astronaut lady, and that was fun, but it wasn't too much. Everything was really balanced and flowed very well. I enjoyed the editing.
I really liked it.
Compared to season 2, much better.
The editing in season 2 was pretty bad, but here it's like
in season 2 was
pretty decent. Like
it was very nice.
They listened to us for once. You know?
Yeah, no, I think it's. I agree with you.
Pretty good amount of building, pretty good amount of discussion of each of the people's characters and their personalities. And some are competitive, and some are.
I want to talk about that in a second.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a moment. But so it was good. I had heard rumors that there was going to be language. There was no language at all. There was only one time when Will was trying to force Nick and Stacy to talk to David and Emily, talk trash to them, and they're just kind of like shouting all the way across the set, like, we're going to beat you, and they're like, what? It was so dumb.
And it was awkward.
And it's the same shtick from last year.
Ours was way better, though. I'm sorry, guys. We got you on the trash talk.
Us and Chandler and Jacob had real reasons for beef. I don't think this is
this Canadian versus Canadian, like, who does that? I mean, Will, are you sure you're Canadian?
Do you know Canadians, Will? I mean,
right. They don't fight. I guess that's why he did it, because he thought it would be funny for them to trash
but
talk
over here, like, it's American boys. We'll go to fisticuffs over here.
A couple brothers,
We'll do bar fights with you.
Okay, so that being said, what are some of your favorite teams so far? Let's start with Steven. What's 2 or 3 of your favorite teams?
Okay, now you're putting me on the spot. I don't remember their names very well, but...
Well, tell me them. Daniel or me.
I also got them up here.
Liz and Aaron. Liz and Aaron? Aaron's her name? Yeah, so I know Liz, probably the best out of the group, except for maybe Greg. Probably Greg. They're about the same, I'd say. But I've seen Liz in person more, and she's really fun. She builds really good stuff. She's very hard on herself. She's like, I'm a total imposter. I shouldn't be any in the community, blah, blah, blah. Like, stop it. You're really good at all this stuff. So she's really great. She's really fun to hang out with. Very, very genuine person. I'm rooting for them.
But on the show,
on the show, they did the Smiley ship.
No. They did the ukulele.
I know, but the team that did
the Smiley
team. They seemed really sweet. They're probably like the Jack and Dawn of the team, and they seemed really sweet. I'd love to get. I've not met them yet. I'd love to say hi to them at some point. There's also Greg and Brendan. I'm rooting for them, but they are the villains of this story. They are absolutely... They're very competitive. The moment you hear the word competitive, you know for 100% certain they're the villains of the story.
No, that's their personality now. They're competitive.
They're the bad guys. They're the competitive bad guys. That's just... I'm sorry, Greg. That's just what's happening.
That's how they edit it.
That's how they're editing this. And
you guys should know something about it, because you kind of were painted
we
the
were in that role.
well.
We got a mild treatment like that, but not as bad as this.
This
is already overwhelming, yeah.
Eventually, they just said, okay, fine, we'll have multiple brother teams. And that's what's been remembered as multiple brother teams. We weren't remembered as the baddies as much, even though the first episodes painted us that way, I think. So, sorry, guys, don't worry, it should wear off in a little bit. But yeah, they are the villains. And it's a shame, because I know Greg is not a villainous person. He's a very, very kind-hearted person. He's great.
Well, you guys aren't either.
Character trope for the show.
Yeah, which is a shame. Also, Steven and Steven, those guys are really good, too. They have great teamwork. I don't want to go on too long, but those guys literally survive with their own teamwork and their job. That's not easy.
Yeah, they're firefighters.
They rely on each other for survival for their work. And it's like... Yeah, they have teamwork that no one's going to break. I'd be amazed. I'd be amazed if they butt heads. I would be astonished if they did. I don't think they're going to do it for the whole... I'm calling it. Not for the whole
Well,
season.
they at one point had something almost fall over the table.
Yes.
Yeah, and
you
he caught it.
You saw him like trying,
Yes.
struggling with everything in his power not to say
to say
something as
something.
it's going. It was like bursting out of his mouth as he's
Yeah.
clinging onto this piece that's cantilevered over the edge
Good
of the
catch.
table.
Yes, exactly.
catch.
Oh man.
Oh, but so Daniel, what's a couple of your favorite teams? What stood out to you in this episode?
So I'm gonna keep my eye on Nick and Stacy. Nick is an extremely talented builder. I've seen a lot of his work at conventions and shows and on Instagram, and I think he's gonna really succeed as long as Stacy's excess of personality doesn't
yeah. A little bit bubbly. Yeah.
Yep. Emily and Liam, I think, are gonna excel. They had a very ambitious plan for episode 1, but it had good color, good composition. They just got a little ambitious with the size and the scale and exceeded the technical capacity for it to support itself. And then Steven and Steven are one that I didn't know much about beforehand, but now seeing what they were able to put forward in
good.
episode 1 and pull out the win for that episode, I think they're going to be a top contender as well.
Yeah.
So those are probably my top 3 as of right now.
Fantastic. What about you, Angie? What are some of the teams that stood out to you?
Do you need to look?
Steven and Steven for sure.
Yep.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. And then Nick and Stacy, I can see their potential because their build was really good. I mean, it was solid. And again, it was
spaceship-y.
It was a spaceship, yeah. And I don't remember what it looked like when it landed on the port.
It had some yellow. It had
but-
those rings going out like
That's
a radar.
It was
right.
like kind of a gradient on the rings
Yep.
too. It was kind of a purple to pink
Yes,
sort of.
yes.
That was a
So
real
that's-
color was
that's-
smart.
That the
Yeah.
color
Smart.
was good. So those, and then sorry y'all, I'm still learning names.
There's also the next.
6.
all right.
Oh, you go down
There's the
there.
other 6
Um,
or 8. How many is it total?
and then I feel like I don't know, maybe Dave and Emily. Only I don't know any of these people, but they seem like they knew what they were doing, and they were able to get that hockey puck to turn, and
That's
the
fun.
Cool.
The
you
power
know the whole
function is
power
good, yeah.
function's
And
good.
the
It shows
sculpting.
me that they and the sculpting, yeah. So I don't know. I feel like they might be a good one too.
Yeah.
I just realized that none of my teams were based on their building, but like
Yeah,
if
who
I
they
wanted
are
to
as
meet them in
person.
person, I'm aligned with you guys pretty close, especially you, Daniel. Your assessment's very, very accurate. So I forgot, I forgot. Yeah,
That's
it's
what
a
I'm saying on the
competition.
show. Yeah, that's okay.
It's a competition, right? I'm like, I want to meet that person.
Yeah. Well, I want to hang out with all these people.
There were
Same,
a lot of
yeah.
them at Brickfair, Virginia. There were far more at Virginia than there were at Chicago.
Yeah.
I met a lot of them.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Man, missed it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So a couple of teams that I gotta mention. Steven is Steven. I actually met one of the Stevens, the slightly smaller of the two Stevens, and
With the darker hair?
Yeah, with the darker hair. And they did a really good job. They had a super strong concept and a super strong build.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not only was the idea good, but the build was good. It fit the challenge perfectly. It looked cool. And so you don't know what they built until the show airs, and now I was like really impressed by them. So looking forward to what they're able to do in the next few episodes. Then you got I actually liked Nick and Stacy's build, so I think that they have a lot of potential there. I think it was just kind of slightly overshadowed, but if you have a challenge where there's a little bit more intricacy or detail, I think Nick in particular is pretty well known for his building skill. I would love to see what they're able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that influencer badge is a little bit deceptive because that just implies you just look at Lego sets. But Nick does build.
We know
pretty
Nick
well,
has got
yeah.
the building props. I haven't seen a lot of Stacy's building prowess yet, but Emily and Liam, the mom and son, they also had a really cool build. I think they just got a little ambitious, which is totally easily possible in Lego
Yeah,
Masters.
Lego
So
Masters.
looking forward to what they do too. But let's reverse this conversation and let's focus on who might have struggled in this challenge. Who three teams you're worried about? I mean, obviously one was
The
sent
two-
home and one was in the bottom, but like who else do you think was like maybe could have adapted a little bit better, or you're hoping that they're able to rise to the challenge?
I did not care for they were more Hispanic.
That's Michelle and
Yes.
Christine. So-
Yes, I didn't necessarily care about their build. I know it had like a boombox type thing because they love music and dancing and all.
The Hot Miss Mamas, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
it.
Now
That's-
Randy loved that build,
That was
so
great.
She did,
has
that's
a genre for it. Yeah,
It does, and it wasn't that the genre was bad. I just didn't care for the build that much.
Gotcha.
It just didn't make me go, oh.
It wasn't maybe revolutionary.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
cool. It had color, but it was
Yeah.
like, eh.
I don't know. Maybe they'll struggle a little bit. And then the grandpas. I actually I am so impressed that at their age they're still into that and love it and are passionate about it. And the fact that they're a photographer and a DJ is pretty funny to me and exciting. And
Not what I expected.
And their build really wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It just, it
You're worried
wasn't
about
as
them.
sculpted as I expect things are going to need to be as the future comes. Theirs was very, square.
It's a little
and
bit simple,
very
maybe.
simple.
Yeah.
Not bad, but just I feel like if things need to be sculpted in the future, they need to show that they can do that.
Yeah,
So
we've
that-
seen dinosaurs and dogs that look like even like
Yeah.
rodeo situations, so
Yeah.
that could be really tough
Well,
for
putting
simple builders.
it looked like it's putting something on the bull,
bucking bull.
and
Yeah.
it has to see
Yeah.
how long it stays on. In my
Yeah.
imagination, I don't know.
It
But
was
seems
pretty
to be
clear
the
from the
case.
videos.
yeah,
the
so
intro.
those are the dog one especially. That's a lot of sculpting. So I'm hoping. I'm
that's all
hoping.
sculpting.
I'm
That's
hoping
not easy.
that that they can
Yeah.
can pull that off. So.
What about you, Daniel? What's some of the teams you might be worried about moving forward, or having seen them get eliminated?
Yeah, with Christine and Michelle, I think no matter what they build, they're going to be able to inject a lot of energy and story and personality
Yeah,
into it.
that'll
And I
help
think
them
that
some.
will help them.
It'll
I think
take
that will maybe
take
keep
them a
them
long
on
way,
longer
Mm-hmm.
than just their building skills. Gosh, let's see who else. Aziza and Eddie, they're gonna be very wholesome the whole time.
I think
so
so.
again, I think that
Trying
will
to
help
keep
them
that.
along.
So you're thinking that the personality that they're able to infuse into the creations
Yes,
will
they will.
help,
They
even
will.
if they're not
They will win
necessarily-
Amy's heart at the
Yeah.
very least. Is
If
what
they're
I'm
not
getting
maybe
at.
the best
But as
sculptors, they still have
far-
good stories.
Yeah, as far as the people that I think are going to struggle and maybe start to go out soon, I think Carrie and Patrick may not be able to keep up. They're both really great guys. I've met both of them. They're awesome. But yeah, I think their techniques maybe left a little bit to be desired. Also another funny thing. I just remembered this now. That scene where Patrick walked over to John and Xavier's
John
build
Xavier, yeah.
and was holding it and touching it, and we were all like, "No, that's a no-no."
I don't
Bad
know.
touch,
That's
bad touch.
Completely illegal in our season.
Unless
Yeah.
they told him you can go,
You can go do
I
it.
don't know.
interact,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, no, we were allowed
You're not
to
supposed to do
look
that.
at their table from several feet
Yeah,
away.
I was
That's
gonna
as
say.
Could not
close
touch
as we were allowed to go. Yeah.
anything.
Because that's
like,
interfering with the
Yeah.
competition.
But they put
Anyway.
it on the camera though.
Yeah,
they
that's
they
weird.
knew he
They
did
knew
that.
he'd do
I don't
it.
know.
Yeah,
But
they
just
did.
knowing a little bit about Patrick's characteristic, his
personality,
personality, I was like, "Oh no, buddy, don't do that!
That's
No,
a big
that's a
no-no.
bad idea."
That
That's
did
a big no-no.
what you just said reminded me also the guys that made the mango. It was a little lost on me as well.
It was very yellow.
Okay,
But it was sculpted, so
Yeah,
maybe in
that shape was
sculpting
something-
techniques or in sculpting challenges, they made it.
I mean,
they
a
may
mango's got
succeed.
really no.
Yeah,
It's
see
not
it listed again?
easy to define a mango. Yeah.
Yeah, it really looked more like a pineapple, which is fine. What was inside it, you could see it. That's good. But
Yeah.
for the future, I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to agree with everybody. Austin and Justin, they might be like the Philip and Maria of the team. Like they didn't start very good, but they went a ways. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, the mango was interesting, but that is as far from the prompt as you can get. So I hope that they can really focus on what Amy and Jamie tell them to do. That team.
Yeah.
I have to agree though. Patrick and Kenny. Is it Kenny?
Carrie.
Carrie. Yeah. Here's the problem. Lego Masters. Not because I don't think they're good builders. They are, but. The Lego Masters is incredibly hard. It's
Very
you
hard.
get
It's gonna
it
get
super
harder.
early.
Stressful.
You don't sleep very well. The food is unreliable. There's
At least on your season. We
Maybe-
don't know.
our season
Maybe it's a
was
little
bad.
better now.
It's,
Maybe
it's the
Maybe.
same for season 3, almost exactly the same.
I've heard bad
Okay.
stuff about it too.
Okay.
Slightly better
Um,
schedule. They got up at 6 instead of 5.
Yeah, someone needs to take care of that. But yeah, apparently they got up a little later, but it's not much better. And so that's for anyone of that, anybody of that age, that's going to be really hard. So I'm worried just for the physical endurance
Yeah,
race
that
of
could
it.
wear them out.
Some people who are really talented builders, like for example in season 2, I know Brian and Lauren. By the time they left, they were ready. They're like, okay, fine,
We're
we're
done.
good,
We're
done,
so
we're good.
tired, yeah.
So here's the thing: it's all about like the will to build. You have to have incredible willpower to go through this sort of thing.
And I think it's a shame that that's a
Yeah.
part of
Why is
it.
that an element? Couldn't it be a
Yeah.
little easier?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a
I
physical
think it's a
competition.
Hollywood. We got to pay the bills.
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
We got to get this done as
A
fast
corporate
as possible.
top-down decision.
Yeah, it is.
So I think if people can survive that, I think Steve and as firefighters are used to, they
are.
don't care about
Yeah.
themselves physically. They just go. They do the mission. I know
we
Greg.
assume that. We don't
they
know.
have
I know
good
Greg is
physical fitness,
Greg is
presumably,
Coast
and know how to
Guard.
take care of their
Greg is
bodies.
Coast Guard,
Well,
so I think he might
They're willing
be
to,
in good
to
shape.
put their
lives
lives
on
on
the
the
line.
line. And
They're
they-
probably used to odd
They're used
sleep
to odd
hours.
sleep hours.
And,
Yeah, waking up super early for a
Yeah.
fire
You
or
have to
whatever.
physically
Food though,
tough.
they probably need a lot of food.
They
Yeah.
probably do eat
They're
a lot of
They're
food.
gonna,
Yeah,
they need a lot of calories.
That'll hurt them, I'm sure. But that's another element you got to remember is that this is
Yes.
extremely hard.
And it's mentally straining. And I wasn't in it, but when I did a few of the practice ones for the show to see is this good enough to put on the show when we had to do that, it was
You're
so
a tester. Yeah.
a tester. It was so mentally draining to me, and I got a migraine through it, and I was just like, this is scary, y'all. And I wasn't even competing for $100,000, and it was so stressful, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So
like
yeah,
when,
that mental, emotional is scary.
Yes.
I like when Steven said, as an example, I've been in buildings on fire, this is more stressful.
Yes.
Yeah, you're
I bet
right.
y'all related to that so well.
You're right. You're right.
Very cool. All right, so we already talked about the judging, right? And so we already talked about the teams that were struggling. Moving forward, what are the teams that you think are going to be doing really well? And what are you expecting? I think the next one is going to be the Dino episode. Is that what it's
Yeah,
kind
it
of
looks like it,
implying?
and it's
So-
gonna. It looks like it's gonna get blown up.
Yeah, there's some explosions, or
I think
I
it's
saw
gonna
a
be a pirate
gunpowder
thing.
trail.
Yes.
I think that's going to be with
Yeah.
the pirates.
Oh, maybe you're right.
They made cool pirate ships. I saw yeah.
You know,
Wait,
I
that was the episode from the preview. Do we
Yeah.
not remember what the?
There was some
it
dinosaurs in the
was
preview.
it was Chris Pratt. It was a
and Chris
dinosaur.
Pratt.
I
But
don't
did we
think-
not actually hear what the prompt was?
No.
I thought
really.
they said it was blown up, but I obviously they
I
mixed it and I
don't-
got confused.
I don't think they're going to blow up the Jurassic Park stuff. I
Okay.
think they're going to. They might, but I
Maybe they
think
have
they're
to
going to
build
do.
a dinosaur?
I'm pretty sure this
Like a
is about a
brick-built
sculpting.
dinosaur?
I don't.
Could
I
easily
think
be.
that this is a sculpting challenge. I think this is the amusement park that was from season 1. They're going to try and perfect it. And I think that this is what that's going to be.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
Yeah, look, I am so excited for next week's episode. I think whatever it is, it's going to be spectacular, and the fact it doesn't hurt that I love Chris Pratt as well. So I'm very
Still can't believe I
excited
missed
to.
that.
I know. I'm very excited to see what they do. I don't know. I don't know what to predict from that.
There we go. Well, I think hopefully Steven keep on a roll and don't
Yeah.
falter too much. I'd love to see the mom and son actually land one of their builds
Yeah, I wanna
nicely
see
and
a
everything
landed
works
build.
together and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to sag or anything. So
I'm hoping that
And
they're
she'll
gonna
cry.
they're going to
she'll keep crying.
Okay, one
Over
other
her
thing I
baby.
I gotta address one thing here. Ed is always getting on these teams. Why are they crying? Why are they crying? Ed, you have no idea.
It's so
You have
emotional. It's
no
so
idea.
stressful.
Yeah, here's the thing. That you are up super early. By the time you are done, the relief that the challenge is over, the euphoria, we're done. I don't even know if I'm going to win or lose. You don't care at that point. You're just like, I'm done.
Yes.
That's all you can think. And
Oh,
it's
I'm sure.
so grueling. If they cry, I don't want to hear it.
I also wondered in this season or next episode if they're going to introduce the golden brick.
That's
Yeah,
right.
no
We didn't
golden
have the
brick
golden
yet,
brick.
yeah.
I'll bet it's next episode.
Well,
Okay,
and
so-
having sent somebody home this week, that means there's likely going to be a week in the very near future where
When
they
no one
don't
goes to
send
anybody
somebody
home.
home. That could
I'm
be the
sure,
second or
yeah,
third
they have
episode.
Or
said
maybe
That's
they're
kind of the
allowing
classic
themselves that.
I don't
option.
know.
Maybe.
Because how many in season 2? How many weeks did they not send somebody home?
there was
Twice.
one.
Twice.
No,
Wasn't it
Once,
twice?
No, for sure once.
Episode
well,
10.
including the original. The original, they didn't send anybody home. The first one, and then it was episode
Right before the
10,
castle.
which was the house challenge. They did not send anybody
Right.
home.
So
So
probably
twice.
twice, and then obviously the final. There's three
And some
teams.
people were like bugged about that, and I told them, look, mathematically, if they send a team home, they can't send another team home, or they won't have 3 for the finale.
Yeah.
So, like, if you run the numbers, they have to have. They
Yeah.
have.
Couple
I don't know how
breaks,
they're going to
yeah.
do it for this one. It's a little different,
It
but
is different.
but mathematically, they had to have a team not go home on an episode before the finale. So they just chose that one. So.
Wow. Yep. Very exciting episode. I was. So there's one more thing. The reality show concept, it can be kind of annoying or stressful for people. I know that when I was watching
Yes.
our season of Lego Masters, it was actually very anxiety-inducing. However, watching this, I felt almost no anxiety. I was really enjoying it. Almost as like I think I've gotten past it now. It doesn't hurt me anymore.
Healed up.
Aw,
Healed up.
You've conquered your fear.
I have to say, like, that's exactly the same. I was expecting a tsunami of stress just hit me like a wall, and then I was watching. I'm like, I forgot. This is fun, you know? Like, this is kind of cool.
I was able to enjoy it.
I feel like I've healed up, you know? Everything's healed up mentally, and it's like, oh, this is actually...
It's been a little over a year. It's good.
I bet that was weird, though, to see when the first shots come out and the contestants coming out. I'm sure your thought went right back to how you felt, knowing how they felt coming in that room, and the set's exactly
the beginning
the same.
of the gauntlet.
Yeah, it really is. So.
But actually, for me, I was remembering more season 1. Like when the first time I watched season 1, this felt like the first time I watched season 1. It was like, yeah, I can remember that excitement. Like, wow, this is a Lego thing. You know, I kind of almost for a moment forgot that I was on the show. It was kind of fun, actually, for just those
How about
moments.
you guys? Was it the similar experience to the first and second seasons? It was just kind of the same.
It was.
Note for you guys.
For me, it was a little reminiscent because I didn't get to work on season 3. So for me, it was like, oh man, I didn't get to do it that at first, and then I was like, I think I'm glad I didn't do it. It's so stressful.
You get to enjoy it, right?
I really get to. And last year, I couldn't necessarily enjoy the show because I knew what was coming. I also knew the editing didn't feel right in some situations. So that was frustrating. Things that I had known happened that they didn't involve in it or anything. And so that was frustrating. So this year, it's just nice, again, to be just a spectator, just to be able to say this is what it is and not care about the details in the back.
Yeah.
So.
What about you, Daniel? How's it feel?
Well, I've only ever watched the show.
Yeah,
I'm the only one here. I think the feeling of it was the same, but yeah, as we mentioned earlier, the editing was a little better.
Yes.
For a competition show, it doesn't seem like a lot to just talk to all of the competitors on the show at least once in the episode. But you go back and you watch the first episode or two from season 2. There are teams that weren't even in it.
Yeah, you don't even see a glimpse from any of them, and it's really scattered and very disorienting.
Yeah,
so
was
and
very
there's
linear.
still the element where you can tell, like, they talk to one team and they're like, okay, here's what they're doing. They check in with them maybe once. And then at the final, they go through their judging and it's like 10 seconds long and they're like, great job. And you're like, okay, well, they're not in danger of either winning or losing. They're clearly dead middle of the pack. They just were fine.
True.
And
it was way better.
Yeah, I think it was pretty standard apart from that, as far as I could tell.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for all your thoughts. I think that rounds up our discussion for the episode today. We'll be back next week with another episode of LEGO Masters to discuss. But until then, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We have so many more cool videos besides LEGO Masters. We have live streams, shorts, all sorts of great stuff. So we'll see you then. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Get your brick on! Yeah! All right, and now we've got Maria and Philip from Season 2 of LEGO Masters to join us and give us their thoughts on the latest episode of Season 3. So thank you guys so much for joining me. How are you guys doing?
Thanks for having us. We're great.
We're super excited to be here, and thank you very much for having us.
We love talking.
Absolutely. It's so good to see your faces again. It's good to interact with old castmates and remember the trauma and the joy and the thrill of it all. And so actually, that would lead into my first question. Having watched Season 3, how are you feeling? What were the emotions that were going through you as you were seeing all the LEGO Masters set and everything again?
Well, if you'll recall, we were in the bottom 2 in the first episode of Season 2. And I think that just in general, watching reality competition shows, it just kind of hits a little bit different than it used to. But watching LEGO Masters was I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I got choked up.
Yeah.
It was tough.
I was definitely not prepared for episode 1 elimination because season 1 and 2 there was no elimination.
Exactly.
And like the whole time we're watching it, and I'm like, first you're like, oh my gosh, like they all have this experience. It's fun to watch them come on the stage. And like, oh, the emotions kind of replay in your head a little bit, and then you kind of really get excited and you get into it. And like, oh, this is a great challenge that they've got to work on. And then they start doing like eliminations, and I like the heart palpitations. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my heart's gonna pop out of my chest.
Well, it was weird because normally the way they would do it is the top 2 and then the bottom 2.
Yeah.
But then in the first episode, they did the bottom 2 first.
Yeah.
Because they didn't do an elimination. And so this time they didn't even do a top 2.
Yeah, they just did a single top team.
Anyway, it definitely hit different than it usually does.
All those emotions raging through. That's poignant because if you were in their shoes, and in the last 2 seasons it didn't even everyone was safe the first episode. You got to go on and have a great run all the way through those episodes. Drew and Miranda did not get that experience, so I feel bad for them for sure. So.
Well, and you really you've barely gotten there. I mean, there's months and months of prep to get to the show,
yes.
and then you get there, and it's just over. So
and to be exited in the first episode, I mean that's really heartbreaking. And I know that, like, you know, most of the audience is like, oh, it makes good TV, but they are people, they're individuals, and you break inside. And actually, we were trying to track down one of their Instagram accounts to send them a message and be like, hey, we feel for you guys. You guys are great. We love what you did. And
we actually really liked their build. We thought it was super cute. Yeah. It had some fun like shapes to it, and it was really cute, and we liked the story, and we just liked them as a team. So we were really sad to see them go.
Yeah, they seem really sweet, but
we love you.
Exactly. Sending lots of love, lots of support. You know, you guys did great for just getting on the show. It's a mathematical miracle just to be on the show. So
that is
take
true.
that to heart.
That mathematical miracle.
You've always got that. So
yeah.
Alrighty. So speaking of, you know, you really enjoyed them as a team. What were some of the other teams that really stood out to you guys? Who, like, having what? I mean, we know them because they're from Lego Masters. We've interacted with them at conventions and stuff. So we kind of have a little bit of that hurdle almost to get over. But having seen the first episode, who really impacted you? What was speaking to you?
So I really liked Dave and Emily. For some reason, like, I kind of felt that like connection there with, like, you know, the kind of funny siblings, and being from, we're not from Canada, but from like the frozen north, and I'm a big hockey fan, and it's just like, and they were just kind of spunky and fun together and goofy and kind of riffing off each other, and they didn't take themselves too seriously, which I always really appreciate.
Yeah.
What did you think, Maria?
I really liked the Grandpappies. I just thought they were super sweet, and I was really impressed with their first build, and they used lights, which we're always a big fan of lights. So on that topic, it kind of seems like maybe they're using more lights than we did in season 2 and season 1, because there were a lot of lights in this first episode. It was kind of cool to see.
Yeah. Speaking back on the teams, I would be remiss without mentioning Liz and Aaron. We met at conventions and met her down at Brick Fair last year. And she's just so much fun, and I'm looking forward to see what they build. And
their ukulele was so cute and like instantly recognizable. And I love that they did it. They did a really good job with it.
For sure. Yeah. A couple of amazing teams. And, you know, it's really exciting to see them like in their element, having a good time, or even struggling a little bit. It's like you can see them like facing all the challenges we did. So it's like, wow, good for them. Awesome. So, all right. So, and having seen this latest episode, what were some of your favorite builds? Well, yeah, you actually mentioned the ukulele already, but so were there any other builds that really stood out to you as pretty cool? I know that Steven and Steven's Maltese cross was kind of blowing my mind a little bit. It was really well done.
Well, I think we both instantly looked at that. We were like, like, it's really well done. It
was immediately recognizable. It was like well built. They had like the text, like, you know, the LMFD was nice and large. They didn't just build it flat either, which they, you know, because it's a symbol and it's like flat on like your shoulder or whatever, but they actually brought it out a little bit, which I think that kind of took it to that next level. They definitely must have done their research, and a lot of things you learn from Lego Masters is building for TV, not building for a convention or not building for yourself, but building for TV. Yeah. I think they absolutely nailed it.
Well, and it actually really worked as a spaceship too. Like it had like the compartments coming off, and I thought it was a well-earned win for sure. But I also really liked Nick and Stacy's. I thought like their build had a really iconic. They had like the spaceship. Well, it was a white spaceship with like was it white?
Are you talking about the international streaming?
Yeah,
the satellite antennas on the front. Yeah, it was really cool.
But yeah, like it had a really nice, like iconic, bold, recognizable look to it. It reminded me of something that like Michelle and Natalie would have done.
Yeah, it was. I always appreciate the clean colors, the like kind of fun shapes, and the contrast as well too. So when you look at it, you're not getting like just like a big blob of color. You're kind of getting the separations. So they had like the little rings that were on the front.
Yep.
Were really well done as well too. You mentioned Liz's ukulele, Liz and Aaron's ukulele. I thought that was really done well as well. As a ukulele, as a spaceship is a little weird, but I don't think they really had that restriction to make it a spaceship.
Right.
So it was kind of fun, and I was really impressed with what they came up with in the first episode as well.
Yeah, there were some really good builds and some very creative takes. And I would say, well, let's talk about now, since those builds were pretty cool. I think that they actually had a pretty difficult challenge for the first episode, because it's like we had not an easy challenge, but it wasn't like super hard. You got to cover this big area. You got to have a motion aspect. Not everyone's familiar with that, but this was like you have to hang this on a wall. So you really got to be super strong, technical. So do you guys feel like that was a pretty they're upping the challenges a little bit, maybe?
Well, I think in terms of technical difficulty, okay, we're not good with movement, so that was a huge challenge for us.
That was new to me and Steven too. It was just, it threw a lot of us for
but you guys nailed it. So movement was a huge challenge for us. I think in terms of right out of the gate, it's a very challenging thing, because I was thinking about, okay, we did like the hanging brick, and that was episode 5.
Yeah, it was pretty well into the
and there was kind of this like build up for the different challenges and the skills that you had to use. And this one, it was like, okay, you're gonna go ahead and hang it off right away. And some of them hung up there pretty well, and you could see some were kind of bending a little bit. It reminded me of the castle challenge you guys did, where you had to go straight out, Except that spaceship that they had, was it hanging, or was it like solid, the big huge docking station?
Like where they had
the docking station.
Yeah, where they had to connect the spaceships too. Yeah, it was definitely hanging. It was, it was pretty
did it move if they?
I think it was suspended on wires, and it could move a little bit. So you didn't have like a super stable background. It was like mounted to a big attachment point with bolts, but it was still, that's only a small area, and all the weight is just hanging off. So you have to make that work. So it's
I've got to give mad props to 12 teams getting all of their builds mounted and nobody's falling off. That's amazing.
The thoughts that I had on this specific one, there were actually 2 of them. The first thought was, in seasons 1 and 2, the first builds all required some form of movement. So the amusement park, and then we had the parade, and you had to build movement into it. This like broke the cycle. Again, we had an elimination this episode as well, which also broke the cycle of what we've seen from the US shows anyway. So I thought that was really interesting, and the teams that did add some basic movement, it was kind of cool. Like I think it was with Dave and Emily, and then with
the spinning hockey puck,
which was immediately recognizable when you saw that, and then with Nick and Stacy as well, having like on the back of their ship.
There was some spinning.
Yeah,
I think Liz and Aaron had spinning in theirs too.
Yep.
The second thought I had too was you made a good point earlier, because it was the first challenge. And having like all this been through the experience, and have like kept having to ramp up the challenges, do more and more, I was putting myself in the mindset of thinking of like what it was to be a few episodes in. And this was definitely more technically challenging than having to build on something that's flat.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Whew. Yeah, right off the gate too. It's just crazy. So.
Yeah, like what's next? Like, what are they gonna do? Like, seriously,
are they gonna put a build on a bucking bronco?
yeah. Explosions like crazy. Yeah, well, who knows? Oh man,
we're gonna have movement while it's exploding. It's gonna have like whoosh and explode.
Yeah, it's gonna have explosions while earthquaking. While it's gonna be nuts. Oh, well, actually, speaking of what's coming next, what are some of your predictions for the upcoming episodes? We've gotten a bit of a teaser last spring-ish, and then we have some more footage at the end of the episode, and even at the beginning of the episode, you get a little bit like clips here and there. But what are some of the things you think we're going to see coming up? Like more explosions, a rodeo thing we saw clips of. What do you guys?
I am like super crazy excited about the dog episode.
Yeah.
And
why is that?
More than a little bit jealous.
Yeah.
Because we have dogs, a few, and we love dogs. So I'm a little disappointed we're missing that. Well, I shouldn't say I'm disappointed, but I'm excited for them to be able to do that episode. But it would have been really fun to have a dog.
Exactly. Sculpting is always, it's a challenge when you're having to do something like that, especially when you're sculpting.
But it's on such a big scale.
That is true, but
I feel like that makes it easier.
That does. But you have to sculpt from memory. What I assume what they're building from memory, which is difficult enough as it is, and then having to sculpt correctly to make it recognizable as a dog can be challenging for sure. I am really curious with the upcoming like the bucking bronco episode, where they have like the little thing that you go to, like experience where you hold on as long as you can until you get flipped off. Like, what are the boundaries of that challenge? Because I Lego is not exactly known for being grippy on surfaces that are not Lego and sliding off. Like, is it gonna be like the coolest like toss of the creation?
Yeah, maybe it's all about getting it flipped
Yeah, but I think we're due for at least 2 explosive episodes that we've seen. Maybe I'm not sure if there's more, because the next one with Jurassic World stuff, I know there's some explosions there, and then there's looks like some kind of pirate ship episode as well with explosions. And I like that they're kind of going back to like some of the roots, like with the pirates, with the like the with the spaceship this episode. So I'm really
fun too. So
really curious to find out what's next. And it's cool not knowing too, right? I mean, you get some like semblance of like from the previews, from the builds, and you look at the trailer and you pause it and you're like, what is going on here? Exactly. But the surprise and the fun, just like everybody else out there, we're going to be right along with you.
Yeah. I would really like to see an advantage challenge where they're each given a set and they have to build something different with it.
Yeah, like scale it down a little bit. You have to build a certain amount of parts to be really challenging. So
yeah, I think that would be fun. And because it's an advantage challenge, there's not as much pressure, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like building a Lamborghini from memory, so something like that,
Oh my
gosh. Not that one, but
I'm gonna start twitching.
I don't think we had a whole Lamborghini to work with either. Anyway,
no, we sure didn't.
Wink, wink. Okay, anyway, so speaking of we're actually comparing and contrasting advantage challenges and stuff. What do you think some of the main contrasts are between season 2 and 1 versus 3? Besides the shift in judging, there's what do you think else is going to happen? Do you think it's just going to be bigger and better? Do you think it's going to be, because season 1 was story, season 2 is technical ability? You think they're going to see a balance, or is it going to be just crazy?
I kind of get the impression they're going for excitement this season. What with it seems like they're sort of taking 2 or 3 of the challenges we did in the second season, combining them into one challenge. Yeah. And it just seems like every episode is going to be explosive, if you'll excuse the word.
Yeah.
I kind of get the impression they're just going for exciting. They've got some big personalities on the show, and they've got these crazy builds. So I think they're just trying to make it really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know with Lego Masters Australia season 3, it was very much more focused on the art of Lego, and you can kind of see that in some of the upcoming episodes where you've got the build that's in the tree, or you've got the sculpting of the dog. So it's more but there are still explosions and stuff too. So I mean, the US has always been very much its own beast, and everything we do in the United States is bigger and more explosions and
hamburgers, bigger.
Yeah. So I will be curious. I feel like with season 1, it was very experimental. They didn't really know what they were necessarily getting themselves into. They repeated a lot of challenges out of Australia. I don't know if there's any repeated challenges that we've seen so far from any of the other international Lego Masters for this season.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because you're right. Season 3 Australia was very sculpting and art heavy, which we liked. And I kind of wondered if they would go that direction, but it doesn't really seem like they have.
Maybe in some of them, we'll have to kind of see how it pans out. But I see a lot of explosions on the horizon too. So yeah. Which I'm not complaining.
I just hope they don't explode the dogs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. I'm sure.
How would you even mention that? That's horrible.
PETA and all of them would be so after.
You can cut it.
No. Yeah. Hopefully not. But yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Any other questions I had? Oh. So one thing that Steven and I noticed, I don't know if you guys got this vibe too, but I really liked how it was edited, the first episode of season 3. I thought the editing was a lot cleaner than the first few episodes of our season. For example, I felt like I could see pretty much at least a little clip of everybody doing what they're doing. I pretty much recognized everybody. The judging was fast, of course. I mean, some teams had a couple seconds. But at least, you got to see, I remember every single team when they were in the building process, not everyone got an interview, but I just felt, I don't know, maybe it's because I didn't know everything that was happening.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because, I don't know, maybe they did a better job. How do you guys feel about the editing in the first episode here?
So it was definitely quick, which our season was known for that quick editing. But like you said, it feels like the clarity was there, what they were trying to get to, because they introduced multiple teams, had to show multiple builds. And And I think a lot of that too was that there wasn't the movement aspect in that first episode. So you didn't have to watch like for the movement. So you could like show the creation. And if it had a little bit of movement, they focused on that. But it was pretty static. So then they could really focus more on like the team development versus like the item moving or functioning or not functioning, which maybe is why they didn't do movement this time around. Which in which case, you know, props to them and props to the department figuring that out for the challenges. Nice work.
So yeah, for the editing, it did seem like they did like that fun little intro with Will and Brad Pitt.
Exactly.
And other than that, they didn't do a lot of the like cutaways or the fancy graphics like they have in the past. Like they did them, but not as many. Yeah. And it did seem like it did like I can, you know, remember all of the builds. Like if I look at the team name, I go, okay, yeah, I remember what they built. And again, but I don't know if it's just because we're not as like personally invested as we were the first time, because I just remember the first season being like, oh my gosh, we only saw this team or we didn't see this team. And you're much more attuned to it because you're part of it. And you like, I remember doing all these things and none of them made it onto the show. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's just because we're more, you know, like third person perspective this time. Yeah, we're more separated from it. But it did seem like, and actually I was talking to a friend and she said the same thing. She said it seemed like she got to see each team a little bit more this time.
Yeah. Well, I think that there was a little bit less Will and a little bit less Amy and Jamie as well. So I think that as a result, they focused more wholly on everything that was going on. Because you got a little bit of both, and you got like Will joking with a couple of the teams, which you like to see. But they played that to kind of like get to know the teams a little bit better as well too. And I'm glad to see too that they have like, I'm sure we'll get more drama as the season goes on, but I really like the fake drama. Like it's kind of cheesy and fun, and they did that obviously with our season.
Oh, you mean like the Canadians?
Yeah, the Canadians versus
rivalry.
The other Canadians, and then they apologize when they're done, and that's fun. And again, not having been part of this season, you wonder what gets left on the cutting floor. Like what really happened? Was there a top two teams? Was there a bottom two teams? We don't know.
Or what specifications did they have about the build that we didn't see?
Yeah.
Like, was there something that was set in the rules that caused them to choose Drew and Miranda specifically to go home? You know, and we, of course, we'll never know.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
just make wonder.
I was almost. I could be wrong, could be totally wrong, but I mentioned this in our discussion earlier that I'm almost positive that they had some sort of volume or size requirement for each ship or you know, part of the satellite or space station, because you see a lot of kind of a box and then you see stuff off the box, which, and that's just an easy way to build Lego, but it's like I was seeing a lunchbox, maybe shoebox size space, and then you see stuff around it, and I'm thinking there was probably a size requirement that you had to make, otherwise you could build something really small and cute and it wouldn't be Lego Masters worthy, wouldn't be big enough to impress people.
Well,
I don't know.
That's actually a really good point. And we also discussed maybe there was some sort of like viewing it from straight on.
Yeah.
Because most of them, the detail was all right in the front. And when Drew and Miranda hooked theirs up there, you could see the top of it, but you couldn't see the side. And the side was really cute because it had the windows and it had the words and everything, but you couldn't see it from the front. So I wonder, you know, like, again, what were the requirements that we didn't know about that? Because I think Jamie and Amy sometimes get a lot of heat for the decisions that are made
unjustly.
But we know that there are so many things going on behind the scenes that play into the decision that doesn't make sense when you're watching it on the show. But in retrospect, you're like, okay, yeah, well, I understand why they, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, who knows?
Exactly. Yeah. Amy and Jamie have, you know, personally spoken to each team like twice about their build and what they could do to improve it to avoid being eliminated. And it's kind of up to the team to then execute that to the best of their ability. And sometimes you're not able to, and sometimes you just aren't thinking about it. It doesn't work for your plan. And then that's why you go home. You know, it just happens. So, but yeah, it's amazing to see, amazing to be on the other side of the screen for once. So I think that's about all the questions I have for today. We'll hopefully, you know, see as the episodes go forward if any of our predictions are right. Thank you guys so much for joining me this evening. We'll see you guys around, and appreciate you guys so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Mark. It was fantastic. And we look forward to seeing the rest of season 3 of Lego Masters US.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.